Greetings to all. In this unit, we are going to learn Shah, his work Caesar and Cleopatra. About George Bernard Shaw, he was born in July 26, 1856, in Dublin, Ireland, and died in November 2, 1950, Hayat Street, Lawrence, Hertfordshire, England. He was an Irish comedic dramatist, literary critic, and a socialist propagandist, winner of the Nobel Prize of Literature in 1925. George Bernard Shaw was the third and the younger child of George Carr Shaw and Lucinda Elizabeth Curley Shaw. Technically, he belonged to the Protestant ascendancy, the landed Irish gentry, but his impractical father was first a cynical civil servant and then an unsuccessful grain merchant, and George Bernard Shaw grew up in an atmosphere of gentle poverty. At first, Shaw was tutored by a clerical uncle, and he basically rejected the school he then attended. Shaw developed a wide knowledge of music, art, and literature as a result of his mother's influence. And he visits to the National Gallery of Ireland. In 1972, his mother left her husband and took her two daughters to London. He spent his afternoon in the British Museum in the reading room. He wrote novels and reading what he had missed at school, and his evening in search of additional self-education in the lectures and debates that characterized contemporary middle-class London intellectual activities. His fiction failed utterly. The semi-autobiographical and aptly titled Immaturity, published 1930, rebelled every publisher in London. His first next few novels were similarly refused, as were most of the artists he submitted to the press for a decade. Shaw's initial literary work earned him less than 10 shillings a year. The fragment posthumously published as an unpublished novel in 1958 was his final fast start in fiction. Despite his failure as a novelist in the 1880s, Shaw found himself during this decade. He became a vegetarian socialist and a spellbinding orator, a polemist, and tentatively a playwright. He became the force behind the newly founded Fabian Society, a middle class society group that aimed at the transformation of English society not through revolution but through permission. In Sydney wisdom of the country's intellectual and in political life. Shaw involved himself in every aspect of his activity, most visibly as an editor of one of the classic of British socialism, Fabian Essays in Socialism. When Shaw began writing for English stage, its most prominent dramatists were A.V. Pindro and Jones. Both men were trying to develop a modern realistic drama, but neither had the power to break away from the types of artificial plots and the conventional characters types expected by theatre goers. The poetry of this sort of drama had become apparent with the introduction of since several of Henrik Ibsen play onto the London stage around when the 1818 to 900, 1890. When A Doll's House was played in London, his Ghost followed in 1899, and the possibility of a new freedom and a seriousness on the English stage was introduced. The events of the play unfold in Egypt, in the city of Alexandria, at the end of the region of 8th dynasty in 48 BC. The legends of Caesar enter Egypt in the city of panic. The Cleopatra, a 16-year-old girl, disappeared. She cannot be found anywhere. At the time, Julius Caesar alone in the desert passes by a small copy of his phoenix and sees Cleopatra sleeping on the chest of the stone statue. She wakes up, says she is Queen of Egypt, and invites Caesar, whom she calls an old man, to climb to her and also hide from the Roman. Cleopatra is terribly afraid. Caesar admits that he is a Roman and says that if the girl does everything as he says, then Caesar will not hurt her. Cleopatra, Cleopatra promises to become a slave and obey him in everything. Then they sneak through the desert to the palace. In the palace, Cleopatra becomes extremely timid. She is afraid to give orders to the slave, Cletus, before a man, Cletia. Caesar teaches her how to behave like a king, command and force herself to obey. Caesar asks her not to get carried away, however, she is still very much afraid of Caesar. When the Roman soldiers enter the palace, greeting the person next to her with the words, "Glory to Caesar," Cleopatra suddenly comes to the senses and, with relief, sobbing, falls into his arms. Caesar is not inclined to shed blood in Egypt, but the demand that he be paid part of the money from the amount of Egypt must give to Rome another kind of agreement between Caesar and the former king of Egypt for the fact that Caesar at one time helped to bring through the back. Cleopatra, who decided to believe the queen runs into who sits down in the palace. Caesar, touched by the chagrin of boy, Egyptian courtiers and the military commanders demand that Caesar leave the land. The Egyptians are leaving. Caesar remains with Cleopatra, who reproaches him for being too sensitive. She also tells him now her father managed to regain her throne, and the beautiful young man who came from the room with a multitude of horsemen helped him. When Cleopatra was only 12 years old, she fell in love with this young man. She is very surprised when Caesar says that it was he who sent Mark Antony to help her father. Caesar ordered to, to burn several Roman ships. Caesar orders Loot to burn several Roman ships and stands in the western harbor, and the most take all the boats that stand in the eastern harbor and capture Paras, an island with the lighthouse. Putin comes to Caesar and is going to tell him that demands of the Egyptian. This time Caesar takes him prisoner when Teutus rushes his execution station ships spread to the Alexandria Library, the holy of holies of Egyptian civilization. Caesar advised him to call his report. Then the Theodorus rushes in and in extreme agitation reports that the fire from the Roman ships spread to the Alexandria Library, the holy of holies of Egyptian civilization. Caesar advised him to call for the help to extinguish the fire of Athens and his army. After Caesar departures on the Koi, where the Roman gods are standing, Apollodorus, Sicilian patrician, art lover appears. He carries Persian carpet to the palace, wanting Cleopatra to choose some of them. The queen himself ran out of the palace. She wants to get to the vote immediately and resume the Caesar. However, the god doesn't allow her to do this. This contradicts the order of Caesar. Then Cleopatra asks Apollodorus in a vow to deliver Caesar as a gift from her beautiful Persian carpet and to obtain permission for her to sail to his island. The boat swims to the island. At this time, someone throws a heavy bag into water. The nose of the boat breaks and it sinks. Apollodorus barely has time to pull a carpet from water. While Caesar, British and the group is enthusiastically watching Apollodorus and his burden, the Egyptians landed on the shore. The Romanians and Cleopatra can only escape by swimming. So, Caesar sails, Caesar sails, carrying Cleopatra on his back. Soon a boat approaches them and they move into the boat. Cleopatra says with the indignation that this is a lie. Caesar, however, finds that even if were so, then it would be quite natural. He asks Putin to retire and repeats that he is free. Cleopatra, however, is seething with anger and imperfectly arrives. Fatalized to kill Putin before he leaves the place. At dinner, everyone suddenly hears a cry and the sound of falling body. Lucius Septimus enters and informs Caesar that Putin was killed and the city is disturbed. Since Putin was a favorite of the Taoist people, Cleopatra confesses that it was she who ordered to kill Putin for his land. Truth and Apollodorus approve of her deed. However, Caesar says that no, you cannot protect the life of the queen from the angry Egyptians. Lucica, Lucius Septimus calms him down. He reports that reinforcement arrived to the Romans. The army of Mithridates progress. Caesar goes to meet Mithridates before leaving. Rufy imperceptibly injects pathetic, pathetic as a wild disease who can attack at any moment. As he later explains his act to Caesar, he approves Ibrahim. Raman troops are smashing Egyptian. King Polymele is drawing in the river, and Cleopatra becomes the sovereign ruler. Caesar is preparing to call for Rome, to sail for Rome. Before leaving Egypt, he leaves Rufia as governor Cleopatra. He reports to promise to send Mark Antony. In Jack Pinasha, Caesar and Cleopatra, the aging Julius Caesar meets teenage Cleopatra by chance one night under the Egyptian moon. There is turmoil in Egypt. Civil war has torn the nation into two, as Cleopatra and her younger brother vie for the throne. Caesar does his best to help the young queen grow into great ruler, one that favors wisdom, honor, and clemency as the means of governance. But as Egyptian insurgent besiege the palace at Alexandria, Caesar might not be able to keep the country together or even escape Alexandria alive. Let alone the greater challenge of managing a strong Cleopatra. Caesar and Cleopatra is a less known work from one of the 20th century most popular playwrights. He is an exploration of power, politics, vengeance, and mercy. Thank you.